first chance qualifier. Getting right to the action is our motto. Qualifying well is of the utmost importance, David Bailey, as we get set for our first qualifying heat.
Well, the reason for that is because the way the gate is, with 30 riders on that gate and the angle of it, the starts are going to come from the middle. If you get stuck out to the sides by a poor qualifying position, you're going to really be in a tight squeeze for the main event.
This is a wonderful track designed by David's father, Gary Bailey. Under the restrictions of the infield of Daytona International Speedway, he's done a whale of a job, David.
Well, I've watched him do it for a number of years, and I always was like, why can't you just go here or there? And there's always a reason.
McGrath, LaRocco, Bradshaw, who gets the whole shot right now? It's Craig. Michael Craig with Jeremy McGrath, #1 on the outside. McGrath moves out of hay bale as he moves back to third place. LaRocco going into second as they go through that black sand beach.
McGrath almost overshot that corner, got way out there, got sideways. Good thing that hay bale was there, probably helped him stay on the racetrack, but he dropped a spot.
Davey Coombs, Michael Craig is a phenomenal story right now. Doing so well over at Gatorback, riding with a broken hand in Moto 2.
Yeah, that's right, Art. On the 125 class last week at Gainesville, he was winning the first moto by about 10 seconds. Made a terrible mistake on the last lap, ran into a wall, and it really messed his hand up. He's riding with an injury right now.
Coming back, Mike Craig. He's got the challenge now from Bradshaw, who's moved into second place. Jeremy McGrath and Bradshaw are going at it. Bradshaw, #10 on the Honda. Jeremy McGrath on his new Knack Suzuki #1. Trying to get around Bradshaw. We've got a great four-pack battle for first. Here comes McGrath. McGrath's going to take everybody, it looks like. No, Craig shuts the door on him, but McGrath makes it around the corner.
That was smart. Mike Craig could hear McGrath coming up the inside. He veered over to protect that line, but McGrath still squeezed through.
Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Boy, I'll tell you what, must have been pure luck, because I talked to Mike Craig and Jeremy right before the start. I asked Mike, how you feeling? He says, fine. He says, I'm really ready to go, pumped, stoked, you know, every adjective you could think of. And Jeremy said, practice went extremely well. Looks like it's paying off for both of them.
Well, it's an unusual season for Jeremy McGrath, changing to the Suzuki bike a week before the season opened. It looks like he's dialed in now, Davey.
Yeah, you know what? He spent a lot of time this week R&D'ing on a couple of the practice tracks around Orlando, trying to get the feel of the Suzuki as we saw off the start. That's about the best start I've seen him get this year in the Supercross series.
Okay, it's starting to widen out a bit as Jeremy McGrath is being pursued by Michael Craig. Damon Bradshaw in the #3 spot, and the #4 spot is Michael Craig.
We're heading down to the end of the racetrack where Bradshaw made that pass on both the Suzuki riders. See if he has got a good line there again, if he can stay close enough.
Mike Jones, as you see there, in the 5th position as we take a look at our field summary. But this is going to be a great feeling for Jeremy McGrath leading this heat race. He only has 1 heat victory so far this year.
Looking strong again. He sure looked relaxed in practice to me. Looked aggressive. He was one of the only guys out there doing everything every lap.
They get such rebound on that speed bump. The back end just pops up on him.
It's the fastest section on the racetrack, and as soon as they land off that little starting brake, they hit that kicker just about the time they get on the brakes. Bradshaw, good line through the whoop-de-doos.
Moves into second place. Vicious whoops. We see him from this angle, David, and now you can get a better idea of how vicious these bumps are on this track as Bradshaw sealing off Craig.
The section they just came through, there's 3 jumps, and everyone's got a little different idea of going through there, but basically what my dad did with the layout is he made all those jumps straight up and down. Forced the riders to think a little bit more rather than just being able to jump the triple.
We'll find out who our first qualifiers will be when we return.
EN2 is being brought to you by Honda. With a whole line of new motorcycles, your Honda dealer is the most exciting place to be this spring. Honda, come ride with us. And by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
We're back at Daytona International Speedway. Jeremy McGrath here for the first qualifying heat is getting a big challenge from Damon Bradshaw, #10. Bradshaw, who has placed second twice in the Daytona race here in the Supercross ranks, is second once again, but he wants that first place position.
Anytime you're back here on the East Coast, too, there's a lot of Bradshaw fans.
Jeremy McGrath, can he hold him off? Bradshaw ran nicely at Gatorback Park in the first motocross round last weekend of the season. Watch him kick off that bump.
This is where Bradshaw was fast the last lap. He made the pass on Craig. See if he can do it to McGrath.
Oh, and the whoops, Bradshaw. He's got the better timing. McGrath, the inside move. Bradshaw moves into the lead. Bradshaw riding with a good case of the flu.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we were talking about what McGrath did for practice this week. Damon Bradshaw did something totally different. He went cross-country riding for a couple of days. He went out in the woods, got out there and beat himself up a little bit in the trees and the sand and everything. Now he's got a flu. He started to get sick yesterday. That's a very unorthodox way to go about getting ready for a Supercross race, but so far so good.
I like that strategy, though, because Daytona is a very unorthodox Supercross track. It's completely different, and why not go out and do something a little different, get your mind ready? And it looks like Damon rides pretty good with the flu. We need to do that more often, too.
Look, yeah. Sometimes the adrenaline really gives you a good push. Now, sometimes it doesn't work in motocross because of the tremendous, long 30-minute motos and 2 motos in each event.
Well,
but here in Supercross, it's a little different.
I think what's going to happen today is, unless he starts feeling a lot better and gets this kind of worked out of him through the heat race, the main event's long, the track's going to get rougher, and it is hot today. And he'll probably struggle towards the end of the main event.
3 semifinal wins in a row for Damon Bradshaw, but he's out in front right now. As we look at the battle for second place, Jeremy McGrath has got number 15, Michael Craig of Honda of Troy, on his tail.
We've seen McGrath get out and look good early in the heat races before this year and all of a sudden start to fade, and all those times it's been due to arm pumps. So I would be inclined to think that's what's going on with Jeremy right now.
Damon Bradshaw over the kicker, going into that rutted turn. Look at how it's rutting up right now already, and this is only the first qualifying heat. Here comes Jeremy McGrath pulling up a little room now, trying to catch Bradshaw through the whoops. Lapper gets out of the way as they come roaring by. Craig's getting lots of pressure from Mike LaRocco, number 5, on the Team Suzuki.
You can see right there in the faces of those jumps that nasty hole that's digging out. It's like hitting a curve in a sidewalk. You go from that soft sand into the lime rock. Really tricky section.
After practice, they were having to pick up the pegs going through there. Michael Craig, number 15, number 5, Mike LaRocco, and that is the battle behind Bradshaw and McGrath.
You know, after Craig threw that moto went away last week in Gainesville, it seemed like he might, you know, he's a very fragile guy. He gets really upset, he gets really nervous, he thinks himself out of more races than he thinks himself into. But they came back in the second moto and got third and said he feels really good. Again, I'm curious to see how his hand works out because he didn't get to ride that much this week with the Honda Troy team.
For Cliff Palmer fans, he's in 5th place, number 23, sneaking up on some of the big names right now. McGrath following Bradshaw in 2nd place, and here's Michael Craig in 3rd. What a great shot. Look at the concentration now. A steady head as they go into the corner.
You can see how close he is still, too, to McGrath. And even though he led early, it's you know, you don't like to drift back to 3rd, but still, he's right in the race. He's very close, and that gives you a little bit of confidence. If you get past and they pull away, well, then you sit in the pits before the main event. You don't know what to do. But here he's going just as fast as everyone.
Damon Bradshaw, number 10, taking care of the lappers very well on that Manchester Honda. A 9th, a 16th, an 11th, a 13th, a 10th, and a 7th previously in Supercross action so far. It'll be interesting to see if he can come back in the main event with such a performance.
You know, I had a chance to talk to Damon before the race. We were talking about the very first weekend of the season in Los Angeles. He fell in the second turn. I asked him, Damon, how would your year have been different if you hadn't fallen then? He'd been up there with Albertine and Henry and those guys. He said everything would have been different. The only thing missing in his game plan right now is confidence. That old confidence is gone. He says if he could just win one race, he'd be the old Damon.
Well, this would be a good one to win right here. Working his way. I didn't really even notice where he was in the first turn. I was so busy looking at McGrath. It looked like he almost went off the racetrack. And here comes Damon around McGrath and LaRocco. Works his way into the lead. This will give him a great boost of confidence before the main. Also a great starting pick for the main event.
Would that be something for the numbers fans, too? It would be Damon Bradshaw's 20th win on the 25th year of Supercross here at Daytona. Actually, they've only run 24 races in the 25 years. They sat out in 1972. Mike LaRocco, number 5, has always done fairly well here. Let's go down to Marty Reed, trackside.
Yeah, I'm down here with Mike Andrews. Mike, don't you guys wish you could run every race at Daytona?
Yeah, he's looking real good today. So hopefully, he's been 6 on this week. Hopefully, I had the strength to hang on.
What makes him so good at this track?
He's just such a technical rider, and he's a pretty strong rider. He just likes it down here.
Oh, he's doing real well right now, guys.
And here comes Jeremy McGrath. Look out. Don't give up on McGrath, even though this is a qualifying heat. The lapper gets out of the way in time. Here comes McGrath in the whoop section. Oh, Bradshaw holding his own bar to bar.
Bradshaw was trying to get around the outside of that corner and get back in front of him. It's so slippery right there. There's such a variety of surfaces here at Daytona. Bradshaw has the opportunity now to stay close enough to McGrath, maybe in the lapped riders, take advantage of a situation near the end.
It was interesting in practice, Davey Coombs, to watch McGrath taking apart the segments of the track and experimenting with what he can do, like he did last year.
Yeah, that's one thing about Jeremy. It's always hard to see him tie together a really hot lap. In Supercross practice, he doesn't do it. A lot of guys like to get behind him, see where the champ's going and everything, but McGrath just doesn't put in the laps. He puts in the sections, he breaks the track down, goes from there.
Oh, he looks like 100% better on this Daytona track than we've seen him all season long. Jeremy McGrath. Look at him zip over the 4 whoops.
Bradshaw on the finish line jump that time, landed clear off to the left side, almost went off the racetrack. Still charging, trying to keep the pressure on Jeremy. It appears Jeremy has found his second wins, found his rhythm.
And look at number 15, Michael Craig. He's putting a move on number 10, Damon Bradshaw. It's McGrath, Bradshaw, and Craig here in our first qualifying heat from Daytona International Raceway.
Bradshaw still keeping the pressure on. Coming into that whoop section. It's been a seesaw through there. One time Bradshaw's quicker, the next time McGrath's a little quicker. They both take the inside. It depends on the momentum you get out of that corner. You can see how slick it is. Bradshaw leaving a big peel out coming to that corner.
In practice, McGrath was going to the outside of those whoops every time. This time he takes another line through them, and Bradshaw drops back to about 6 bike lengths.
Well, right now he's trying to protect that inside line because Mike Craig's in there pretty close.
It also looks like we're at that point in the race where the guys are maybe kind of settling in a little bit and starting to think further ahead about the main event, trying different lines, looking around what the other guys are doing, especially through the whoop section. We saw McGrath pass Bradshaw. He tried something totally different that time. I think we'll see that for the rest of the moto, but they still want to win.
Michael Craig riding with a broken hand that he broke in a crash in Moto 1 of Gatorback last week. Number 15 taped it up tight as a drum thanks to Jeff Stanton's wife Sarah. White flag. We've got the final lap underway now. Jeremy McGrath, and still not far away, number 10, Damon Bradshaw behind him on the Manchester Honda.
Now it looks like Bradshaw and McGrath have both pulled away from Craig and LaRocco. Looks like it's going to be a 2-man battle for that last lap.
And don't forget, our top 5 will be qualifying for the main event out of this qualifying round. So we've got a pack of 4 way out in front. You have to go all the way back to more than half the track before we'll find number 5, and I believe that is still Palmer.
McGrath's still in control. He's got a couple of lapped riders he'll probably have to contend with before the finish line. Coming to that whoop section, that's where a lot of things have happened here. Surprised to see Bradshaw taking that inside. I thought he might go wide, try to get a run at him.
LaRocco making a move on number 15 in the whoop section right now. You see him on the inside of the whoops. Catching up with Michael Craig. Maybe touching the rear tire, but unable to get the angle to get in front of Craig. Still no change out in front. Number 1 leading number 10. McGrath and Bradshaw.
Bradshaw's still close, but McGrath very rarely makes a mistake, and that's what it's going to take from here. He doesn't have far to go to the finish.
Of course, you don't want to go down at a time like this, but how important is it for LaRocco, gate position-wise, to get 3rd place instead of 4th? Is there a difference there?
There will be a difference because there's 3 heats, and as they pull him out of each heat, they stagger it, so he'll go 3 positions further back by finishing 1 spot further back.
Here's the checkers for Jeremy. The 2nd time this year he has won a qualifying heat. Will that transfer over to the main event? We'll be right back to Daytona International Speedway after this. McGrath, Bradshaw, Craig, LaRocco, and Palmer have qualified for the main event after our opening Supercross action. Marty Reed's trackside right now with the winner.
Yeah, very happy, Jeremy McGrath. We talked a little bit before the race, and you said, man, things are really going well today. It obviously did in the first heat.
Yeah, my bike was working perfect out there. We need to just take a look at what I did and kind of see if we need to make any changes. But I think basically I rode pretty good. I just need to ride a little more loose.
Were you surprised about Bradshaw?
Yeah, he made a good pass. I mean, he had a few different lines than I did. It's pretty tough out there. You know, there's a lot of rough lines, and Damon snuck by me there.
Any arm pump? You got enough left for the main?
Oh, I have plenty for the main. I just need to. The heat race was the nervous one. The main event's the easy one.
No, you can tell it's a little humid down here. He's a little wet, but it sounds like he's going to be ready for that old main event.
And look at the great crowd on hand here at Daytona International Speedway. Filling that grandstand, we see number 4, Steve Lamson, number 18, Jimmy Button. A couple of the riders here in the second qualifying situation now. We have more gate positions soon to be filled in our second qualifying heat. David Bailey, it reminds me here, the Suzuki track map of a short motocross track.
Well, it's completely different from any Supercross, and there's not enough time in this show to talk about all the different obstacles that has been put into this racetrack. A few new sections. They've got a mogul section here. A long straightaway for the start. And it's going to be tough because as soon as you come out of the gate, you go about 40 yards, and it really narrows down. So the guys out on the ends get pinched off if they don't get a good jump out of the gate.
Jeff Emig, Larry Ward, Steve Lamson, Jimmy Button, just a few of the big names here in the qualifying heat number 2. Ryan Huffman, Taylor's also in the mix. Starting to get nervous down there, David.
Now remember, the riders are nervous always. You can never shake that no matter how long you race. And Jeff Stanton has won here 4 times, and he has been glued to the side of Steve Lamson, I bet you, all week, giving him every pointer he possibly can to try to get Jeff or Steve up on the podium. We'll see if he can do it.
Steve Lamson, of course, Team Honda still looking for their first win on this season. Lamson with a great start. Right alongside is Emig. Emig number 3 on the Kawasaki. Lamson will have to take second place. Jimmy Button right behind him. So it is Jeff Emig looking very strong. Larry Ward is in third now. Number 6 on the Honda of Troy. A battle for the lead is underway. Jeff Emig just doesn't want to give it away to Steve Lamson, and he takes it out in front.
Jeff Emig not giving Lamson any room as they came through the mechanics area just a moment ago. Lamson almost went into the banners. That might irritate him a little bit, fire him up, force him to get around Emig. Larry Ward, once again, early in the races, all year long, has been so strong. Lamson putting the pressure on Emig, showing him a wheel.
Lammy maybe getting some confidence out of the motocross action in the 125s at Gatorback Park, Davey.
You know, he was yet another guy who was sick last week. A second motor of the 125 class. He faded back to 5th. I talked to his wife, Cammie, who would like everyone to know that she is now with child. And congratulations to the Lamsons. Anyway, she said that Steve was putting a lot of emphasis on this race. The Supercross Series is breaking down into the second half, and Steve's got to do some numbers for Honda.
Emig, Lamson, the top 2. In a battle for 4th is Kerry Hart, number 154. 27 is Ryan Huffman in front of Kerry Hart. That is the battle for 5th.
You can see how deep those berms are getting now. They're not even berms anymore. They're just like troughs, dragging the foot pegs through there. It's going to get deeper as the day goes on. They'll try to repair it as much as possible, but it's going to get deep. And here's another new section for 97. You're not able to dig a pit in any of the stadiums, but here at Daytona, you're able to dig down about a foot or 2 and create some really different obstacles for the riders.
Well, your dad really went a long way in imagination this time.
Now he wanted to do something different.
To fall into.
He said he went back and watched some videos from like 1983, 1984 when the racing seemed really good and close. He wanted to bring some of those old obstacles back in and see how the riders could handle it now.
Jeff Emig out in front here in our second qualifying heat. The run for the checkers when we return to the Daytona Speedway. We're back in the midst of heat number 2 qualifying for the Daytona Supercross. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Davey Coombs, and Marty Reed bringing you the action. This is the leader, number 3, Jeff Emig. Emig is being hounded right now by Steve Lamson, number 4. You know, it's odd. Emig is a very good motocross rider. He won the 250 Nationals last year, but he's never placed better than 4th here on this track. That was back in 1995.
Well, he's due to do a little better than that, I think, and the way the season he's had so far this year has got to be by far the best season he's ever had. Winning a couple of Supercrosses already, winning the National last weekend. He's on a roll. I saw him in a radio show yesterday, and he's confident, cool, and unlike a lot of the other riders, he went home before this race. A lot of the guys stay down here, so I think he's ready.
For 3rd and 4th, Jimmy Button trying to make a move on Larry Ward. Jimmy Button. He's looked pretty strong in several events this year.
Yeah, Jimmy and the whole Chaparral team really need to get a good ride on their belt. Maybe get someone on the podium.
Back to the lead. Lamson putting the tire on Jeff Emig.
It's unfortunate he got so close to him in that section because there's nowhere to pass right there. That's probably the only section on the racetrack where you just have to wait your turn.
Well, let's go to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, you were talking about Jeff Emig not winning here and not really doing very well, but right before the race, we were talking, and he says, you know what, and he's the only rider that I could find to say this, and your dad's going to be disappointed. He thinks the track is actually a little bit easier, at least for his style of riding. He said the week off really did him well, felt good and comfortable, felt like it was ready for him to take the checkered flag.
Here comes Lampson, trying to show him a wheel. What a great battle for first place here in our second of 3 qualifying heats.
Lampson's doing everything he possibly can to try to keep the pressure on. And really what it looks like it's coming down to me is the start. If Lampson could have kept that whole shot, maybe the situation would be reversed right now. But it's obvious they both have the same speed. Maybe Lampson right now is a little quicker.
How can they handle the lappers? If Emig makes a mistake, Lammy's right there. Lammy puts a foot down in the sand.
You have to give Emig a lot of credit. He is a great defensive rider. I mean, he almost borders sometimes on being dirty, and he's gotten that kind of rap before. But if you watch, he just
uses a lot of track.
Yeah, that's right. But he holds his line, and you know, he owns both sides of the banners.
Well, when you're in the lead, that's your right. You can go out and protect your line. And Emig's been known to protect it, like Davey said, everywhere. But
here's another look, Dave.
This is where Lampson got very close to that mogul section. Lampson getting almost caught up in the banners there. Emig able to hang on.
Lampson with a couple of qualifying heat wins this year, but is still struggling. 57 points off the leader after 5 rounds and trying to get back into the points race. Number 4, Steve Lampson.
This is that far corner. As they come out of that corner, there's a triple there, and it's been very tough. First practice session, a lot of guys having trouble with it because it's pretty far across there. It's close to 75 feet. You don't get much of a run out of it. As I already pointed out, that sand gets chewed up. You don't get, it's so rough to the face. It's hard to get a good drive at that triple.
Ryan Huffman still showing well here in our second qualifying heat as the leader out front, being tested by Steve Lampson. You get a glimpse of the great crowd here at Daytona International Speedway. I think it's the best crowd we've seen, well, the entire week. I don't think it's numbered this many fans.
You know, the weather's perfect here today. Sometimes I wonder if that doesn't hurt the crowd here at the beach just a little bit. I mean, it's great to go sit in the stands and watch motorcycle races, but then again, might be something over at the beach worth watching.
Oh, how can you say that? Quoted by Davey Coombs.
Lampson's still right there.
Jeff Emig, though, looking so very cool with a newfound maturity. It seemed like after that one win in St. Louis against Jeremy McGrath, something went click in this kid's head.
Well, as soon as you believe that you can win, as soon as you do it, get that taste, it's a little bit easier to do again. And a lot of these guys, mentally, I think it's really what it's coming down to, and trying to visualize how you want things to go. If you're second all the time, it's pretty difficult to visualize winning, and now he's got a clear picture of that. He's been doing a lot of it.
Lampson just coming off a heavy case of the flu last week at Gatorback Park. Still won the first 125 moto. Didn't fare as well in the second, which could test for his weakening condition. But Jeff Emig with about less than 2 laps to go now, with about a 3-bike lead.
This might give us another chance to watch Jeff Emig's roadblock technique. And one thing to keep in mind for the main event, he's the only guy here on the Kawasaki team. We lost Damon Huffman right after his Atlanta win with the ankle injury. And then this week, Ryan Hughes decided to go home a few days early. He stuck around after the Gainesville race, but he tweaked his knee in the second moto. So Jeff Emig is the only guy in the whole big Kawasaki truck.
Okay, let's go to Marty Reed.
Down here in the mechanics area, Mike Gosler, the hit man for Steve Lampson. The last 2 times by, the first one was, the sign said elbow, and the last one said get personal. What do you think that means, guys?
We may see some elbows flying and maybe a little bit of red paint on that green bike before the end of this heat race.
Not much time left.
Emig is tough.
And Emig is trying to pull a lead.
He'd sure like to get a lead and maybe study the racetrack a little bit, try to get things dialed for the main, relax a little, but he just can't. And Lampson just keeps keeping the pressure on, and just like in the first heat, racing is close.
Ryan Huffman in 5th place out of Roseburg, Oregon. Ryan's best performance of the year.
If the racing continues to stay this close through the heat races, I think we're going to have a fantastic main event. And what we're seeing right now, I think, is Lampson maybe in a lot of places on the racetrack, not everywhere, but a little quicker than Emig. and Emmig's holding him up. So that usually indicates that maybe a little bit one line here and there and tough to pass if Emmig's taking the fastest line. But that's going to change by the main event because that line's going to start getting rough and they're going to have to find somewhere else to go. And here, unlike the other Supercrosses, they don't work the track and make it all nice and smooth for the main.
Coming out of the far western turn and headed for the finish line jump, Jeff Emmig and Steve Lamson 1 and 2 take the white flag. A final lap now of our second qualifying round on a gorgeous sun-baked day here in Daytona.
This is a section right here where Lamson's been making up quite a bit of time. Keeps closing right there. That's before the mechanics area. I wonder where to put it on the board this time.
I tell you, we've got some great shots on this track, too. That's one thing that the Daytona International Raceway gives us is some fine angles.
Well, Emmig's just blending into that grass. Some camouflage.
Kawasaki green, is that the Kentucky-style grass they've got?
Jimmy Button having a good ride.
Well, Button's had an interesting season for the Chaparral team. Has not placed very high in the main events, but has been very competitive most of the way. Here comes Steve Lamson within a bike length. And now they go through the whoops. One of the most important places on the track now to establish your lead. And Lammy is right there. Jeffro trying to move it out here on the speed section. Goes for the triple.
I haven't seen anybody go the same way through that whoop section twice all day long. Every time they're in the middle, then they fade off to the right. They're so slick. It adds to the trickiness of how they're staggered at an angle. I think that's a great section. We're going to see some passing there later on.
You know, go through and think of that S-turn right there. It's like they're going down into a cavern right now, Davey Coates.
Yeah, that hole's digging deeper and deeper. And, you know, the way this track breaks down, it gets so dynamic and everything. I can't wait to the main event. See 30 guys out there. Those people are going to be everywhere. Some of those corners, we might lose a bike or two.
Well, normally you get down to the plywood. Here, you're going to get down to water pretty soon.
Here comes Jeff Emmig. He takes the checkered flag. And Jeff Emmig, the winner of our second qualifying heat. More thrills and spills of Supercross coming your way. Jeff Emmig looking back at the official with a checkered flag, his 4th heat win of the year, and 5 more riders advancing to the main event here at Daytona. Emmig, Lamson, Button, Ward, and Ryan Huffman getting in there and getting a chance to select his gate position. Let's go down to the podium now and Marty Reed.
Yes, and a very happy, a little bit tired Jeff Emmig. And you said before the race you thought this was a little bit of an easier track than before. Do you still feel that way?
Well, it's just a different track. It doesn't really flow well. And I definitely was uncomfortable in that race. I had pretty decent times. I could see my mechanic Jeremy was giving me pit board signs, but I didn't feel that well. So
are you saying that you don't feel as confident now going into the main as you did before the start of the race?
Well, no, I got it figured out there in the last couple laps, but I didn't ride very many different lines, and consequently Steve had a little bit better ones, and it was a real struggle just keep him behind me that race.
We'll be right back as the battle continues to make today's main event from Daytona when we return. 5 more riders trying to make it to the money round, the main event now in our 3rd qualifying heat. Guys like Greg Albertine, who won the very first round, Brian Swink, Ezra Lusk, Lawrence Karsten, and guess who? The points leader, Doug Henry.
Doug Henry looking good in practice, and also remember he's from New England. He's a very good rider at Southwick. This track is getting more chewed up and sandier as we go, and that's what he's good in. Look at that front tire.
Number 20, Doug Henry, Team Yamaha, coming off that 4-stroke premier at Gatorback, having to adjust back to the 250s 2-stroke. 32nd board is up.
He says he doesn't have any trouble with that, though, and he's probably, after his performance at Gainesville, glad to be back on that 2-stroke. And I pointed out that front tire. That's just a symbol that the track is getting chewed up and it's sandier. Otherwise, they would use a tire with the knobs a little closer together.
I'll tell you, the way those guys were jumping up and down to the starting gate, it looks like they had sand fleas in their shorts or something.
Well, maybe they do.
They've cooled off a little bit now, anyway, as Doug Henry waiting for that gate to drop now. 3rd qualifying round. Our qualifying procedure just a little different than the other races on the circuit. Okay, they're set to go now. That gate can drop at any moment. Doug Henry with a great start. And guess who's out in front? Doug Henry. Ezra Lusk looks to his left and moves into 2nd.
Brian Swink right in there from nearby Gainesville. Phil Lawrence to the outside of him, trying to work his way into a spot. Albertine also got a good start. He's up in there. But it's Team Yamaha leading this one so far.
This looks pretty familiar to some other heat races we've seen this year. In fact, Henry's first win, these two guys went 1-2 in the heat race.
I can tell you, I know Doug is glad to be back on the two-stroke after last week, but he got good starts on that four-stroke. It's a little heavier and everything, but it didn't seem to mess up his timing on the start. The rest of the track we'll get a chance to watch and see if the transition had anything to slow him down with.
Ezra Lusk, an interesting story. He was looking like a contender after the first 2 rounds in Los Angeles. Then he ran into hard times. He's been running well, but just not consistent.
Now, he's had a tough time, but he's certainly been fast.
Albertine on the inside, number 8 on the Suzuki, trying to cut in front of Swink, and finally gets good drive off the berm. A good battle underway now. Swink, Lawrence pursuing Albie.
Albie able to pass both Swink and Lawrence, and was able to triple. And you know, both those guys that got all fouled up before that and only able to double, so he already opened up a little gap on both of them.
Albertine's a lot like Lusk, as you started to say. He got off to a good start. We thought he'd be a contender for the title, but he's got fast laps. He just doesn't have fast races. You can't put them all together.
Well, he's a lot like Albertine and Bradshaw, I think, and Ryan Hughes. All these guys, I've said this before, they try really hard. They give it maybe a little bit more than 100% at times, and they take chances, and that's what you got to do if you want to win. But they've been a little unluckier than some of the other guys and just gone down at the wrong time in the race, lost a lot of spots, had to always worked their way from behind, but they certainly are on pace.
The blue and white of Team Yamaha, 1 and 2, Doug Henry and Ezra Lusk. Ezra would really like to get the credential of a heat victory here, despite the fact of being teammates, dude.
Right, not only have they gone 1-2 in heat races before, but twice this year they've each won their respective heat races.
The battle for first is on. Ezra Lusk from Bainbridge, Georgia. Doug Henry from Massachusetts way. And Lusk puts the throttle down. Lusk with the good inside move, but who can get to the... Yes, Ezra Lusk got to the rut in time, but here comes Henry. Back and forth we go. Oh, what a battle between teammates. In third place, Albertine, pretty lonely right now, as Lawrence falling back with Swink.
The camaraderie over at Yamaha has been really different than most of the other teams. These guys get along so good. I've seen them out in practice a lot together. They share lines, and I bet you right now they're probably having a little bit of fun with each other. They're going to learn a lot, too.
You don't see anyone swapping paint there either. I've noticed these two guys are riding together a little bit differently than what we saw Emmett and Lamson do.
Well, it looked like it was more of a one-line situation out there when Emmett and Lamson were out there. But these guys are a little more creative and looking for different lines. Obviously, there are places to pass.
I can't remember a qualifying race this year in 6 previous rounds that hasn't been outstanding bar-to-bar battles.
It's been good all year long. And oh, Doug gets a little bit off his timing. He faded out to the outside, hit some of those bigger jumps. Deeper sand, still able to hold on. Takes sheer strength. Once you make a mistake like that, you get it back under control. And Greg Albertine starting to work his way up. Now he's getting into the picture.
Albertine pulling up. Now Albertine's concerned is just staying on 2 wheels. He's had that problem in the last few races. Albie in third. He wants to go to second.
I'm glad you said it, Art. I sure don't want to bring it up.
Why?
As they come back down through here, watch what Ezra Lusk does before the second little kicker bump here. Last time he was bunny hopping his bike over. He didn't have the right line that time, but that's where he passed Doug. Keep an eye on them if they get close together next time through there.
Yeah, that's great. What he's doing, I'm glad you pointed that out, is he jumps off the jump just before it. When he lands, the suspension compresses, and he just hops. Uses that rebound to hop over that bump, and that's what's forcing everybody to not be able to drive into that corner before the whoops is hard. He's able to get on the brakes a little sooner.
We'll be right back to Daytona International Speedway after this. Qualifying heat number 3, and once again we've got a battle up front between Yamaha teammates. Doug Henry and Ezra Lusk have been going at it tooth and nail. Henry has the edge. Albertine not far behind in third. As they go to the whoop section, let's see who times it the best. Henry having just a little bit of problems now as Lusk comes right up on his fender.
That's such a tight corner right there. It's starting to get a little bit more of a rut there where these guys were sliding more before. But as they hit that rut, they're having to protect the inside line. The bike's not short enough. It doesn't have a hinge in the middle to make that turn, so the front wheel goes over it. A lot of guys having trouble there.
Doug Doug Henry able to hold on despite the tremendous pressure put on by Ezra Lusk.
You can see that roost that Lusk just shot up off that jump right in Albertine's face. I don't think he did it on purpose, but that happens a lot out there, and you can imagine what that feels like right in the face as you approach the section and you get a face full.
For a while there, it looked like we had a little bit of play Ryan at the Yamaha test track, but Albertine snuck up on those two guys.
Lawrence and Swink in the battle for third. Lawrence with Team Chaparral. That'll be the battle for fourth.
This is the section of the track where Lusk always gets right up on Henry, gets close before they enter the mogul section, and once again, Albertine has also moved up on these guys.
Amaratio starting to close, too, on Swink and Lawrence. To the outside, Ezra Lusk. Oh, look at this.
Lusk has got that section of the track dialed in.
Number 11, Ezra Lusk has taken the lead away from Doug Henry. And Albie is encouraged.
He's right there. He's probably hoping for a while those guys would bump into each other and he could go around them both, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Out in front, Ezra Lusk, Doug Henry, and Greg Albertine. And Swink and Lawrence are going through a tremendous battle behind them.
Already, it looks like Lusk is starting to open up a bit of a lead. Maybe he was just studying Henry's lines, and now he's going to get out there and pull away because he's got a few faster ones. He's figured out where Doug's fast, putting it all together. Also, Doug's forced to ride a little bit more defensive now because here comes LaRocco.
Marty, can you get with us?
Well, guys, I'm down here with Ian Harrison. Ian, your guys sort of in the catbird seat watching these two Yamahas battle.
Yeah, and right now I'd be really happy just for a qualifier, but it always boosts the confidence to get a good result, so I'm hoping that he gets by them.
Better get your board out there so we go, oh, he had a little side action there, and we missed the signal. We were going to tell him it was 3 laps to go. I don't think he would have seen it anyway.
Yeah, he's battling with those guys right now. I think his concentration's fully on them at the moment.
Well, we'll see if he can pull it off, guys.
Did I say LaRocco?
You said LaRocco. Albertine.
These guys mixed up.
Doug Henry and Albertine going at it right now. Guys, Doug Henry came into this season with a great mental attitude and a lot of obvious rehabilitation because of the back surgery, but in great physical condition. But after he's taken the points lead, have we noticed him maybe losing a little bit of strength toward the end of motos, toward the end of races?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that might play into the reason why he's slowing down. One of them might be, of course, the development of that four-stroke. But I'll tell you another thing is he's dealing with the Jeremy McGrath syndrome right now. He's got a big bullseye on his back, and every guy who comes up behind him and passes him, he's going to work extra hard to pass Doug Henry, which in turn makes Doug Henry work extra hard. It comes with the points lead. Because
when Doug Henry got the points lead of the 125s, it was later in the season. I mean, he was always gunning at someone else. Didn't win the 125 first race until Atlanta that year, and then he put a tremendous string of victories together to take the 125 Supercross title at that time.
I think Doug has definitely realized that this is a long season. He doesn't have to win every race. He's trying to be very consistent.
Looking down is Greg Albertine. So something might be wrong with his bike now. What a bad break for Albertine with only a couple of laps to go. Can he hold on to a qualifying position? Look at, he's kicking at it.
I don't know. That's the shifting side. Maybe the foot peg. Sometimes they run through these deep berms and the foot peg folds up. You get a bunch of sand packed in there and it won't fold back down. Maybe he was trying to kick it and get that sand loose. That's all I can figure. I've done that before.
At least he's fortunate enough to have enough room on Phil Lawrence, the fourth-place rider, where he can maybe nurse that thing in. It doesn't look like it's anything that's going to stop the bike completely, but he can kiss Doug Henry goodbye.
We've got a confirmation from the track that dirt has stuck in that foot peg, so you're absolutely correct, David Bailey. And it's probably of the sandy variety, which packs in pretty tight.
Yeah, it gets in there wedged, and I think that sand would just fall out, but it's that wet sand packs in there good.
Especially to that speed bump he just went over. Here's Ezra Lusk, our leader. And for Ezra, this is quite a boost for him. He did win a heat in Los Angeles Coliseum as well as at Seattle. So it's not unknown to see number 11 come across the checkered flag waving.
Yeah, he's had some trouble, though, this year in the main events. Of course, in the Los Angeles second round, he did great. He finished second right behind Doug Henry. But I'm convinced he would have won that Seattle race if he had thrown away by himself.
He was so fast in Seattle. Won his heat race, looking fantastic in the main event.
The white flag in the breeze here in Daytona. The final lap for Ezra Lusk, who's got to be even more focused now than ever before. Doug Henry in second place still has a little room on Albertine, and then a long space back to Phil Lawrence.
It's so frustrating to know that you have the speed, especially like you said, Davey, in Seattle. I mean, I haven't seen anybody have that big of a lead that early in a main event all year long, and to throw it away like that, not get the results that you know you're capable of. But with this heat race win here, things are looking good. He's going to get a great pick to the starting gate.
Look at kicking that dirt loose has helped Albertine, because he's really putting the heat on Doug Henry right now. We've got a battle for second place on the final lap.
I think I told him to blow that kiss a little premature there. I didn't think he was going to get the dirt kicked out. He's all over Doug right now. Doug doesn't look like he's on his game.
Not at that end of the racetrack anyway. He keeps having trouble down there, and these teams have spotters, they have video, and he'll go back in that semi and watch the video and try to figure out what's going on down there in that section of the track. And for the main event, it'll be a little different anyway. I'm sure Doug will get it all ironed out.
Ezra Lusk with a 5-second lead on Doug Henry in second place. Albertine now falling back again.
I know at Gainesville, he pulled his shoulder out of socket in the second round. He had a terrible crash early. He tried to keep going as much as he could. Didn't work. The state of Florida has been horrible to Albertine. We've seen him bust his shoulders in Orlando. We've seen him crash and break wheels at Gainesville. Daytona last year, he had a couple crashes. It just continues for Albie.
Well, he's due to have a good one. Lusk doesn't have far to go. Win this first heat.
Headed toward the checkered flag with ease. It's not often that happens for anyone here in Supercross. Ezra Lusk has won the third qualifying heat. More roosting on the sands and jumps of Daytona Supercross when we come back. Here's the pass for Ezra Lusk on teammate Doug Henry that led to his third heat victory of the season. Ezra Lusk qualifying high, with Doug Henry, Albertine, and Lawrence, and Brian Swink also getting the transfer to the main event. 5 more riders joining our other 2 qualifiers. Let's go to Marty Reed with our winner.
Yes, and you guys mentioned the fact he started off 1997 really well, had that sort of flat spot in the middle, but this has got to be a boast in the old confidence.
Yeah, for sure. It started off great, and I guess I just started thinking about it too much and took it way too serious. And the guys at Yamaha really calmed me down and really had a talk with me, and I feel great now. Team Yamaha was out front on the start in that heat race by a long ways, and we just had the track to ourselves, and it was just a lot of fun out there racing with Doug.
Any changes you're going to make as far as strategy or on the bike for the main?
No, if you've seen out there the last few laps, I really slowed down, just trying to save energy, trying to save this water I got in me, and just eating right and trying to be strong for this main event here today.
Well, we'll see him in the main. Go get another drink.
That's one thing you have to deal with in the outdoors of Daytona is the heat and humidity. A recap of semifinal action and more when we return. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, Daytona, Florida, for round number 7 of Supercross action. I'm Art Ekman, along with Davey Combs and David Bailey. We just completed the semifinal rounds. Corey Keeney winning the first. But, gentlemen, history created right here on this track is for the first time in contemporary years anyway, or for the first time that we can remember, a 4-stroke has made our main event.
Well, that thing's going to be a little bit more of a handful to ride. It's got a lot more power, different kind of power. It's a little bit heavier on this rough track because of the lap time. It's going to be a long main event, but I think he's just so excited to be in the main event, he won't think about being tired.
Davey, the fans really loved it.
Yeah, we could hear them stomping their feet on the bleachers down there. There's something about a 4-stroke that the fans just love. They like the big boom and sound of it. And Lance Smell certainly deserves it, coming so close several times earlier here in the Supercross series.
We've had a slug of injuries lately on the Supercross tour.
Well, it's been unbelievable, the amount of guys that have gotten hurt this year. It's really been a big blow for Kawasaki, Ryan Hughes, and Damon Huffman. You see it there at the top. And Mike Kudrowski, a 3-time winner here, unfortunate he can't participate. Kevin Windham with that ankle. Of course, he's riding the 125 West, so that's not a big blow, but he's going to try to get healthy for the outdoors.
Just like in road racing, Daytona is a unique track for Supercross. There's no question about it. It's longer, it's more like a motocross, and it is a unique prestige about winning Daytona, David.
Well, especially if you're a Honda rider, because they sponsor the event, and it's been amazing to be part of that experience. Fortunately, I was able to win one here in '84, and because I was here for so many years watching my dad build this racetrack, that was a special win for me.
And, of course, Jeremy McGrath winning last year. Mike Kudrowski, a three-time winner. Jeff Stanton has won more Daytonas than any other, 4. Let's go down trackside now. Marty Reed joins us.
Well, somebody has a sick sense of humor, guy. I mean, think about this. Palm trees planted firmly in the infield portion of Daytona International Speedway. You'd think you'd be on holiday, right? Well, this track has proven to be anything but. Take a look at the jumps first off. Hard-packed limestone. So hard, in fact, that right where the transition occurs, where there's soft, grassy type soil that has been chewed up, well, it is now getting a bunch of divots right there. These riders are saying, hey, it's giving us some extra kick. Then when you get into the mogul section, take a look at this. This is how rough it really is. I'm going to step down, and I don't know how much you can still see of me, but this is what these guys are having to work with. Now, think about this. It's 20 laps for the 125s, 30 laps for the 250s. They're just doing this like this. And by the way, David Bailey, the guys down here have asked me for your father's address because they want me to send that address to them so that the dentist bills can be forwarded to your father.
Good luck, huh? More from the sun-baked Daytona Speedway after this.
Flashback takes us to the Silverdome, 1990, and at the start it was number 9 Johnny O'Mara with the hole shot with heavy pressure from Damon Bradshaw. Going up into the stands early in the race, Bradshaw to the inside moves around O'Mara and into the lead. And it looked like Bradshaw was starting to pull away when a mistake on this double jump coming up short gave O'Mara just enough room to squeak by back into the lead on the inside. And then came number 1, the defending champion, Jeff Stanton, the hometown favorite around Bradshaw and putting pressure on O'Mara for the lead. O'Mara goes to the outside, Stanton to the inside. Side by side over the finish line jump, Johnny only can do one thing, protect the inside line. He does it, Stanton squares the corner and takes over the lead, and the crowd went wild. And as O'Mara began to drop off the pace, Bradshaw picked it up, challenging Stanton late in the race. Side by side over the finish line jump, Bradshaw does the same thing to Stanton that Stanton had done to O'Mara, squaring him off and taking over the lead. So it was Bradshaw adding another win to his streak of 5 for the 1990 season, while Jeff Stanton held on to second place.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Treadwell, Karsten, and Atsuda secured the final gate positions for today's 250 main out of the last chance qualifier. And right now, the younger 125 Eastern Region riders are on the track getting ready for their third race of an 8-race chase to the Eastern title. And we've got a 17-year-old Supercross rookie making some big waves, guys, number 70.
It's been a really great swing down through the excuse me, down through the Southeast for Ricky Carmichael. Started out with that win in Atlanta, and then he just blew everyone's minds in Gainesville, which was basically his hometown track last week in the 125 National. He went 2-1. He passed a lot of good guys. Second moto, he flat gone, ran away. If he can tie in this race, he'll give him a sweep of the southeastern swing.
Suzuki starting grid, as you see there. You pick out your favorite riders. It should be a very competitive contest. They took a long time getting around the track, David Bailey, surveying this thing on the parade lap.
Now they're going to have to start putting a time limit on that. It's going to get dark before these guys find the lines they want, and the track changes so much here. I think this is one of the few tracks where lines could make the difference of the win.
Let's bring in Marty Reed.
Well, guys, Ricky Carmichael stunned his team. They were happy if he would have made a top 5 at Gainesville. And, of course, as you guys mentioned, he won it, and he was devastating in his heat race. John Dowd got down early, came back to qualify very well. In fact, from down here, the talk is maybe Dowd's the only one that has anything that can handle Ricky Carmichael today.
Not in the lineup, of course, Chad Pedersen, who crashed in the last chance qualifier. Brian Deegan and Michael Brandes from the western side are taking advantage of the new 125 rules.
That's right. This would be the only time in their career they get a chance to see Daytona before they get in the 250 class. If they come back here, if they're not in the top 10 in the points in their region, taking advantage of that, something that will help them out in their career much later on.
John Dowd leaning over number 14, getting ready for the start now alongside of Scott Sheik, number 29. And the gate has dropped on the main event from Daytona. The 125s are underway. 112, Stefan Roncada gets bumped. White Dowd in the first turn, they both go down.
Carmichael jammed on the brakes right there, couldn't stop, he got sandwiched. Brandes also going down, and Roncada, so that's going to be an exciting battle watching those three work their way through the pack.
Boy, they really rammed into each other, and Casey Johnson.
Carmichael trying to bend his handlebars back up. It makes sense. He's already lost time. Might as well get that bike back straight before he tries his challenge to the front.
Pro Circus Pingree is out in front. What a wonderful break for Pingree.
I tell you, everyone's been talking about Carmichael. All the swirl going around the Pro Circuit truck's been on Carmichael. But right now, Pingree, his teammates, finally getting a chance to shine in the spotlight.
Jeff DeMent after a very fine qualifying heat race, number 50 in second place. But here comes the local favorite, Tim Ferry, number 22.
What an opportunity for both Ferry and John Dowd, who's not far behind him. You can see Dowd right there, just at the tail end of this pack coming through the whoop section. Whoa, you can see how slick it is right there. Pingree getting a little sideways, front end washing out, but Carmichael was so fast in that heat race, so far gone. Everyone's been pretty much betting on Carmichael. Now he's dead last. These guys have a great opportunity to win this thing.
You know, we didn't mention David Pingree earlier because we were talking about the 250 class. Pingree has a broken finger. He's also got that to deal with, plus the fact that he's never seen this Daytona track as well.
You can see he's got a little handlebar protector like what they use when the tracks get real rocky to protect that hand on the throttle side.
Pingree, of course, last year breaking a right femur and then tore the ACL in his left knee in the same accident.
Dowd moving up a spot. He's got to stay in contact with Ferry, and he's got Sheik right behind him, too. This is shaping up to be a great battle.
Sheik getting around number 85, Jimmy Neese on the Suzuki. So what a battle we've got shaping up after the tremendous first turn crash. Back to Daytona, the 125 main event. We have a new leader. Tim Ferry has just passed David Pingree, number 57. Ferry in first place. Boy, would this be a great victory for Ferry, who's had a tough time this year.
I think he's done this right. He's patient. He knew what was happening behind him, and you can see that Dowd is coming. He knew the time was now to get into the lead and put Pingree between those guys. Hopefully that'll take Dowd a little longer to get up to him.
By a tough time, I mean a tough time getting on the top spot of the podium because he started the Supercross season now with 2 second places.
Both these riders, Dowd and Ferry, are at the point whenever they need to, like we can see right here what happened with the pass, they're both at the time of the season when they need to make a break from one another. Ferry was smart to make the pass here because you're going to see Dowd come in the picture right after he pushes Pingree out. If he didn't pass him there, Dowd would have caught him even more.
That was in slow motion, and I don't know how the heck Ferry made that inside berm because he charged into that corner so hard, it stuck.
Okay, Ferry, our first place leader now with Pingree in second place, and John Dowd is on the move. But Tim Ferry, who is the points leader here in the 125 East in the third round, stands a good chance of increasing his lead should he hold on.
You see Ferry right there, there's a deep main line. A good line only lasts for about 4 laps. Ferry's already starting to work his way to the inside of that and use the grass.
Here's the battle for second place. John Dowd, number 14, Team Yamaha, knocking on the door. Pro Circuit's Dave Pingree, but Pingree now puts the throttle down.
I think Dowd's going to be the strongest guy out there on the track here in these last 5 laps. But he can't let Ferry get away from him. No matter how strong you are, if a guy gets a break and sees his pit board going down to 5 laps, 4 laps, 3 laps, he's going to get that extra boost of adrenaline to get away from you.
Pingree 3 seconds in back of Tim Ferry, the leader. And John Dowd has come off the back bumper now of Pingree as they get into that tight crevasse like U-turn.
It's hard to say. Pingree's riding a great race. Hard to say if Ferry took his time, was patient to get around him, or if it just took him that long to find a way. But Dowd's going to find out here pretty soon how tough it is to get around Pingree. If it takes him a long time, that's really good news for Ferry.
Yes, it is. Pingree from Great Falls, Montana. A 9th in the first round at Indy, a 16th as he went down on lap 10 in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta.
Ferry working his way through that tough whoop section. Look at the pounding these guys are taking. Every lap, most tracks, these guys have a nice rhythm through there, but because of the sand and because of the way it tears up from lap to lap, these guys are getting really inconsistent through there. That's
as we see this
mistake.
Wonderful battle right here. John Dowd cuts to the inside of Pingree. John Dowd picking up an extra point there or two there.
Riding right through that deep berm with all those holes in it. Just taking the roughest line. He doesn't care where he goes. He's got the strength to do it.
Brian Perry, big sigh of relief right there.
You see how deep those lines are getting. That big hole right there is getting deeper and deeper every lap. I like that line there that Dowd has. He maintains his momentum around that corner instead of trying to square it. Makes up a lot of time each lap. He just carved about a second out of Ferry's lead. Look how close he is now.
One other Western rider, Jeff Willow, moving into the top 5.
You know, it's definitely a thinking man's track. You asked about the difference between 125 and 250. I've never seen 125s dig holes in a track like that. I can't imagine what's going to be like at the end of the 250 race. But from just the first lap till now, you can see the difference in this track, and I think that's going to pay off. That's going to play into John Dowd's favor, certainly.
Okay, now the leader, Ferry, with Dowd right behind him, is approaching some lappers. As we take a look at the Honda stopwatch, they breeze by Bogart, so there's no problem there. Pingree in third.
They're in that mogul section. Dowd not following, trying to take different lines. You can see him working inside, outside, partially to dodge that roost.
Oh, John Dowd showing a wheel to Ferry. Ferry glances back to see who it is.
You always want to work your way inside, outside, and keep that guy in front of you guessing. As soon as he starts worrying about where you are, if you're taking the inside or the outside, you start trying to think about what he's doing and cover those lines, and you're riding defensive, and that'll play into the favor of the guy behind.
Dowd having a hard time getting out of the rut, coming out of the whoop section, and Ferry has a little bit of breathing room.
Well, mistake there. Ferry didn't get over that double jump. Dowd got over it.
You can tell Ferry's definitely picked up the pace under the pressure here, but I don't know. Dowd's got about 3 more laps to do something. I have a feeling he's going to do it on this lap.
It's tough to change your pace.
Oh, look at that. John Dowd makes a great move.
That's where Dowd's been maintaining that momentum. Went right around the outside of him. See if Ferry, Ferry's already looking over his shoulder like, who's next? That's not a good sign.
Not a good sign at all. John Dowd, what a great move by Dowd. He won the first race of the year for the 125 Eastern Division with a win at Indianapolis. Took a 4th in Atlanta, but a remarkable recovery from a 13th start, and Dowd goes off the track.
Well, he was careful not to gain any time by doing that, but you can see he had to regain his composure out there on the pit lane where it was smooth. Missed a few of those jumps before he got back on.
I know he's careful, but I have a feeling we're going to hear about that one later on in the pits.
Yes.
The lap time, 1:41. A 20-lap main, or 15-lap main, rather, for the 125s. With that lap time is going to take a long time to get this over with.
John Dowd once again harassing Tim Ferry. I wonder how much confidence Ferry has in holding him off and where John Dowd might be able to make his move.
I hope he holds him off till they get back to that other section we made that pass, because that's one of the best passes I've seen all year.
Big momentum going wide, trying to get swing off the bank and into the whoop section. John Dowd so strong, taking on bar-to-bar Tim Ferry. John Dowd, another pass. Can he hold on to the lead and not go off the track this time with time running out for Tim Ferry?
Well, they're both still getting over the triples, over the doubles right there. Ferry's trying to stay close, but it looks to me like he's done all he can do, and Dowd, it's just his day. Sometimes you get a guy catching you like that, he passes you, and you get a second opportunity, and he passes you again, and that just ruins all your confidence. And it may be that right now Ferry's just going to have to play it smart and settle for second, hope Dowd makes another mistake.
And this game is so much based on confidence, not just physical ability.
Yeah, you know, last weekend in Gainesville, John Dowd was riding the 250s, and he was the best guy on the track when he came to passing, and that was he was forced to do it. He had terrible starts, never gave up. We saw that here today. So far, if he can just point toward the checkered flag and keep going, he's going to get himself a good win here.
Top 5 remaining the same as we take a look at the leader, John Dowd. What a fine race this has been after that first turn melee.
Dowd looks so aggressive in practice. He went out and just attacked the racetrack right off the bat. And although Carmichael's been on a hot streak and he was looking good, won that heat race by so far, I still was feeling like this was a racetrack for Dowd. He does so well in the sand. He does so good on rough racetracks. This is a longer race. That's his strength, and it's really starting to show now.
Tim Ferry in second place. Number 22 as Carmichael has moved up to 6th and could make the top 5 before this race is over. A white flag is in the hand of the official at the finish line jump as we see Ferry laboring through those whoops. Here's John Dowd taking the turn.
Now we're seeing what happens to a rookie who's getting those great results right off the bat. He was just going for a little bit too much on the start. It'd been a lot easier. He knows right now, it's probably already gone through his head that if he would have just backed off a little sooner, got through that first corner, he had a great shot to win this thing, but he's 17. He'll learn.
Lots of racing in front of number 70 as we take a look at a guy who really got started late in his career racing and went right almost to the 250s. Had very little experience in the 125s. Yamaha had the open spot for the 125s and moved him in there, and it took him a while to adjust to it.
You know, John Dowd's one of those cases like we spoke about before where a rider is a privateer for a long time. When he finally gets that factory ride, he appreciates every moment of it, from the free sign-up to the airplane rides to the spare bikes, all that. John Dowd used to sleep. In fact, when he won his first national, he drove home from California and to sleep under his bike in the back of a minivan.
Oh, no. Carmichael on the move. White flag. Final lap is underway with John Dowd. Boy, you talk about a confidence builder for Dowd. After winning the first one, yeah. And then a 4th after a brilliant comeback in Atlanta.
You know, it's interesting, too, in talking with Brian Berry when Marty was just down there, the confidence that he displayed. I mean, it's obvious that they, as a team, felt like this is a race that he is supposed to win. And when you feel like that, I mean, look at how much different he rides here compared to some of the other racetracks where it's a battle. I mean, he's just dominant here. If you get your head into it, your body will follow a lot of times because all these guys are talented. The talent is so much similar. These guys are all capable of a lot of the same things. And when you believe in yourself.
Pingree, who was our leader in the early going, is still in 3rd. He's still got a podium spot. He's probably lost a couple of the pounds right there, number 57, that he put on with all the cheeseburgers, taking Ricky Carmichael around his place.
Yeah, the thing I love about John Dowd winning these races, every time he wins a 125 Supercross, he pushes his own record a little further out. He is still the oldest guy to win a 125 Supercross, and now you can just add about a month onto it.
And pretty soon, he's going to be a father.
And a winner of the Daytona Supercross. Nothing quite like that.
Oh, that's got to feel proud. The checkered flag for John Dowd. John Dowd out of Massachusetts. 31 years old. Tim Ferry in 2nd place. Pingree in 3rd. Sheik 4th. Amaratio and Carmichael in 6th. We'll be right back with the official standings and a word from Marty Reed and our winner after this. Okay, the great battle was on with John Dowd going off the track, losing the lead to Tim Ferry, number 22. But Dowdy came right back, gentlemen.
That was amazing how much resolve he showed. He messed up in that section twice, still came back, and look at it. He just muscles his way through the whoop section, back into the lead, and then pulled away.
John Dowd, an impressive performance, and he's joined at the podium by Marty Reed. As we scan through 6 through 10, let's go down to Marty.
Yeah, tired but exuberant. You are so excited right now, and rightfully so, but you made it extremely interesting.
Yeah, I got a little tangled up in the start. You know, I didn't really come out all that good, but I managed to miss all the chaos. I know there was some guys crashing and stuff, and kind of took a little bit too much time actually to get going, but I managed to stay smooth and then you know, find my lines and get going towards the end.
As far as where this ranks on the plateau, I mean, the guys were teasing you, making you sound like a granddad. You're the oldest one to win again.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing that a lot lately, but hey, I'm kind of proud of that now. You know, I mean, at first it was kind of embarrassing, but hey, a record's a record, I guess. I'll take it.
Any words from home yet as far as the baby? Is she ready here?
As far as I know, she hasn't had it yet, but I'd like to say hi to her anyways and I love her, and hope she can wait till I get home.
Hey, Trish, you can have the baby. He's won Daytona.
Wait till tomorrow.
Oh, Marty. The log jam atop the 125 Eastern Points race is still there. John Dowd, though, moves into the lead. A 2-point advantage over Ferry. Pedersen not qualifying, crashing in the last chance qualifier, not making the main event, takes the drop, and Ron Cotta moving into third. But it was John Dowd's day here at Daytona. The winners shake the champagne. The young to sip it, but John Dowd certainly can, and pose for the photographers. The Supercross stars are getting ready for today's 250 main. Just moments away, our next TV race will be Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's a Sunday, March 23rd, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 12 o'clock p.m. out on the Pacific Coast. We'll be right back with the big guys, the giants of Supercross 250s coming up. Last year at this time, David Bailey and Davey Coombs, Jeremy McGrath was looking for his very first Daytona Supercross victory. That accomplished, he went on to win more in a row than any other rider has ever won, 13 in a row. This year, there's a similar goal of importance, guys, but it's to win your very first one as we look at all the winners on the right side who have won before.
Well, you can see McGrath in 96, what a difference this year. And each race that goes by that he doesn't win, the rest of the riders have a little bit less respect. They don't, they're not quite as intimidated by him if they're behind him. They just move right by him. Where last year they thought, well, if I'm behind him, that's pretty good. I'll just follow him to the front.
And everybody wants to win Daytona, Davey.
Oh, certainly. And this would be a great breakthrough race for Jeremy because it means so much to the manufacturers, the teams, the riders, even the fans. Everyone places extra emphasis on this race. Jeremy could use a big win here.
And he looked so good in that second moto at Gainesville, especially coming at record-breaking speeds, it looked like, until he went down.
Yeah, all day long at Gainesville, he had the same speed as Jeff Emig, but the problem is Jeff Emig had the lead at the end.
Marty Reed, as we look at the starting grid, the Suzuki starting grid, any comments from the trackside?
Well, I checked in with Jeremy Albrecht, Jeff Emig's mechanic. They made no changes. They were very happy with the bike. And Wyatt Seals, the head man for Jeremy McGrath, he said we changed a little bit in the suspension. Didn't say what he'd do.
What do you think he would do in a situation like that, David?
It's hard to say. Jeremy changes a lot of things, a lot of times between the heat and the main, and no one ever really knows what that is. Maybe we could get that from Skip. Track gets so much rougher here. A lot of guys tend to go with a little bit more compression so they don't go through the strokes so much in some of these deeper holes. There's also a lot of sharp holes out there.
There were only 3 sweeps in the history of Daytona by one brand, and that was by Honda, and you were part of one of them, David Bailey, back in 1983. Bob Hanna, O'Mara, Bailey in third. 78, they had a sweep, and in 1990, Stanton with John Michelle Bale and Mike Kudrowski, who unfortunately is not racing here because of an injury. The board is sideways. That means, and the gate drop. Emig, number 3. Number 11, Ezra Lusk. Number 10, Damon Bradshaw. And Henry is to the inside, number 20. Henry making a move into second place right about now. Bar to bar down the whoops.
I saw McGrath get shut off really hard off the start. He's back about 20th place right now. It's a terrible start for McGrath.
This is a big break.
17th officially.
Again, for Jeff Emig, this guy's starts are just unbelievable. There you get a look at what McGrath has to work his way through before he can get a look at Emig. This is going to be tough. There's so many riders here. The track's going to get tough. All those lines are being occupied in the first couple of laps just by where they're positioned, not by the speed, but where they're positioned. Corey Keeney going down. Emig will pull such a lead on McGrath. I don't know if McGrath's that good to make up that much space.
Look at Henry. He's trying to make a move early on Emig, and that's for sure. Is Jeff Emig in second place, 8 points behind Henry in the points chase. Emig trying for his 3rd win of the season. Henry likewise has 2 wins prior.
Well, it's looking good right now for Kawasaki, as Davey pointed out earlier. Emig's the only Kawasaki rider here. And for Yamaha as well. They got both their team riders right up front. And after Dow just won the 125, things are looking up for them.
So it's Emig, Henry, Lusk, Bradshaw. Albertine is next. with Larry Ward and Steve Lamson, Jimmy Button. That's your order down the line.
We see him go out to the far end of the track there, Art. We saw when they were coming through the whole section there where they, like David said, his father pulled the banners in just a little bit, makes some more passing lanes on the inside. That's going to work good for passing early in the race, but you have to know it's there.
First lap completed. Jeff Emig in a very strong position. Can Henry make a challenge early? We'll be back with more main event from 250 action from Daytona in a moment.
Call 1-800-661-RIDE for the dealer nearest you.
Welcome back to Daytona. We've got a bar-to-bar battle. They touch.
Literally bar-to-bar as they landed off that triple they touched.
Emig in first place.
That's one way to knock on the door for the lead. Henry came out of that corner after the whoop section, got right up alongside. He actually went over the top of the berm, had better momentum over that triple, kept it a little lower.
Here comes Emig. Oh, Emig is doing a fantastic job playing with Henry here. Emig using the edge of the course most of the way.
He's got some real creative lines out there, Art, but the thing is, Doug Henry's going to pick up on him the longer he stays behind him and use those to his advantage. But late in the race, missing all those bumps in the early part, you save a lot of energy. It's going to come in handy. Henry might be given too much too early.
Henry in terrific shape right now as he pursues Jeff Emig.
Remember how strong Lusk was in the heat race, passed his teammate Henry and pulled away. And he's sitting right there with a great opportunity, and also Bradshaw, who gave McGrath fits in that first heat.
LaRocco in 10th, McGrath in 11th. There's Bradshaw and Albertine, the top Team Suzuki rider in our list right now. But everyone is following Emig and the Yamaha duo of Henry and Lusk.
There's McGrath behind his teammate LaRocco. He's got a long ways to go.
Let's get on to Marty Reed.
Down here with Jeremy Albrecht, and he had just fended off his first attack by Doug Henry, and now it looks like he's opening up a bit of a lead. I saw you nodding your head, too.
Yeah, you know, he's riding really good. He's been working hard. Got another hole shot, which helps out. The Kawasaki's working great, but, you know, you got to kind of get through that battle, and he did it at the last race at Steel City. You know, you just got to get through your head and really work hard and not put up with anything. And I think it really kind of messes with everybody's head when you kind of battle like that. It's really good for the sport. It's going to be a great race. Everyone's going really fast today.
Emig is definitely mentally tougher now than he's ever been. He's much more confident, much more relaxed. And you can see in his interviews, he's having a lot of fun with us and joking around, and things seem to be clicking over there for him.
Really relaxed with the media, that's for sure. He's having fun. He enjoys what he's doing. And Emig is starting to pull a lead on Doug Henry.
This is the same thing that happened in the heat race. Henry was looking good early, and then he started to struggle, and Lusk worked his way around. Now the same thing's happened again. Lusk applying the pressure.
Oh, we see in our shot, Albertine's got a great battle on Bradshaw, and Albertine moves into 4th place against Bradshaw. As we take a look at the two Yamahas in 2nd and 3rd, Lusk is battling with Henry. There's Albertine, number 8. Bradshaw, number 10.
Don't count out number 4, Lamson, who was putting the pressure on Emig in their heat race. The whole race, he never let Emig get away. He's just behind this battle.
Oh, but Lamson loves something better than a 6th place, his best finish of the season.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? Ezra Lusk moved in. While we were watching Albertine and Bradshaw together, Lusk went around Henry, moved into 2nd. I wonder if he's going to get up there and take a couple stabs at Emig.
Well, he does have the speed, but does he have the control enough as he hops, hippity hops through the first few whoops, and then takes him skipping over the top?
Well, he's already starting to pull away a little bit from this battle right here. Albertine's really starting to pick up the pace. A great move past Bradshaw. There was no room. He found some. Now it looks like he's going to find it around Henry as well. Henry seems to be struggling just a little bit now. The pace is too quick.
There you see number 4, Lamson, is really putting the pressure on Bradshaw behind these two. Oh, what a great battle behind Emig. I hate to leave the leader alone, but he's doing a good job.
Looks like Lusk may have just gone down just as they went through that corner.
Ezra Lusk having his problems as Henry and Albertine trying to catch up with him. Albertine makes the move. Greg Albertine, who won the first event of the season, and here comes Henry right back. Oh, what great racing.
Albie got him back right there. Albie pushed him out, had a good solid line. Albertine in 1 lap passed both Yamahas and Bradshaw. He's in 2nd. Let's see if he can go after Emig.
Well, it's been a surprise every week. How about Albertine coming back and winning another one here? He certainly looks like he can do it. There's plenty of time, that's for sure.
I really believe in Greg Albertine. I do, but I got to tell you what, watching him on this Daytona track, it's like watching a porcupine play with a balloon. It's going to end at any second. Too many traps out there for Greg.
Let's go to Marty with Ian Harrison, Albertine's mechanic.
Well, we're working over here with Ian. You know what these guys just said about your rider? They said it's like a porcupine out there with a bunch of balloons. He's got so many traps that could come up and bite him. What do you think? He's riding hard.
He's riding fantastic. I'm really happy. I hope he keeps it on 2 wheels, and right now he's just got to keep the charge on, keep focused, and I think then he could pull it off maybe.
Still got a long way to go, guys.
Marty, we've got a great battle going on. Lamson number 4 is just past Bradshaw in the battle for 4th place. Whoa! Lammy wants to get in there.
Bradshaw's riding a great race. He rode good in the heat race. Remember, he's sick, and he may just have to pace himself, ride smart here, and get a nice finish up front. And that may also be the difference between a works bike and a production.
You know, getting back on that 125 for the outdoors, I can't help but believe that putting back into a natural, confident feeling, Davey Coombs.
Oh, sure it did. You know, we've talked about this before, and guys, when heat races or semis, a win is a win. But with Lamson, he needed to give Honda something. He needed to bring something to Honda and say, look, guys, we're still in charge here. We still got a chance, and do something. And Gainesville offered him that opportunity.
A Suzuki Field summary we just saw, and what a battle is underway behind Jeff Emig, our leader. Notably absent from the field, of course, because of injuries, Hughes, Huffman, Pashone, as we told you later, and the young Kevin Windham. We'll be right back as the race for the Checkers continues from Daytona. Welcome back to the 250 main event from Daytona International Speedway. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Davey Coombs, and look at number 1, Jeremy McGrath, trying to put it on his former teammate, Doug Henry, number 20. McGrath has made an unbelievable charge. In fact, you talk about riding on the edge. Number 1 has done it here, Davey Coombs.
Yeah, that's right. We watched that whole lap. We watched Jeremy McGrath, and he's going really hard. He's charging. He's moving up on Henry. He's 7th place right now. Plenty of time left to get a podium spot. I'm telling you, this is maybe what Jeremy needs to get his confidence up. But David, how many times are we going to have to say that?
Well, we've been saying it pretty much every week. That's the worst start McGrath's gotten all year. Sometimes that's what it takes to really get you fired up. He's riding so aggressive. Looks like he's riding angry, taking chances. And there's time enough for him to catch Emig, and don't count out the fact that when Emig gets into lap riders, he's going to get held up quite a bit. That's going to be the advantage of all the guys behind.
Our leader is Emig, Albertine, and then Lamson, Bradshaw, Luss, and Henry. And Jeremy McGrath trying to make his way up through the lappers now.
He's taking his teammate LaRocco with him. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's gotten up there too.
Jeremy McGrath just really open throttle right here. Let's go down to Marty.
Down here with Wyatt Seals, after the dismal start, he's really charging hard. Does he have enough time?
Well, the best I can figure, we got about 13 laps left when they come around. I mean, there's a long lap times. This thing's like an outdoor national, so I want to believe he's got time. He's got a good pace going right now. We got faster lap times than Jeff. Just got to kind of keep our fingers crossed on that deal.
I'll tell you what, guys, the way he's going, if he doesn't go down, at least he's going to make the podium.
Yes, in a podium, he's done quite well this season. 4 podiums in 6 races. Here is our leader, Jeff Emig. Emig slowed down his pace a bit, David.
Well, it looked like he slowed it down a little bit, or Albertine was gaining. It's hard to tell which, but Emig has kept that gap about the same for the past couple of laps. I think he was probably trying to find a comfortable pace, came around the side of the pit board, noticed that Albertine was gaining, picked it right back up, because Albertine has not gained anymore.
Also, on a track like this with so many lap riders, this is one of the bad things about being the leader. They don't know they're being lapped. You're the first guy that comes through. After that, they kind of have an idea when second place comes through that, hey, I got to get out of the way. But Emig being the first guy through, he's got to carve a path through all that lap traffic.
Jeff Emig's best performance ever here at Daytona. He has never made the podium, and right now he's looking pretty good for his 3rd win of the 1997 season.
Now, he's so solid. He's got so much confidence now. I think we're starting to see a little bit in Jeff Emig what we saw in McGrath last year. You just start winning, you get that confidence, the starts. He just gets every start, it seems like, and if he doesn't get the whole shot, he's 2nd or 3rd, works his way into the lead.
Mack is now in 5th.
He seems to be in control right here.
I'll tell you what, if he holds on to this position and Henry keeps going backwards like his, we're going to have a new points leader.
Larry Ward now putting the heat on Henry as we take a look at Jeff Emig, and let's see what the board says if we can. Keep charging, it says.
Well, that's a good idea. Keep him focused. Keep him charging. He's capable of going fast. He knows he's in shape. Like I said earlier, he went home between Gainesville last week and this race to stay with his program, continue his training.
4 seconds is all Jeff Emig has on Albertine.
You can see right there what Davey just said. A lapped rider didn't realize he was coming, and that let Albertine chop about 3 seconds out of his lead.
What an unbelievable upset that would be if Albertine came up through like this. I didn't mean to jinx him earlier with the comment about the porcupine, but I'm telling you, he is making some good laps.
Our Honda stopwatch is underway, and there you see about 4 seconds, 3.5 to 4 seconds between first and second. We'll check out the lap times now as we see Lamson, who has fallen back a bit. Here's Lusk, number 11, and there is Jeremy McGrath. Mike LaRocco going right with him, like you said, David.
He is, and McGrath is picking up positions, but that 15-second interval between himself and Emig has stayed the same for the last few laps now. So, although there is a lot of time left, anything can happen. Jeremy isn't gaining that much time on the leaders, if any at all.
10 more laps to go as we take a look at the Honda stopwatch and find out what our lap time is for Jeff Emig on this long, difficult, ruddy, sandy track.
Emig hasn't made one mistake, Art, that I can see. Look at him riding through the grass. Every time a new line opens up, he's the first guy to find it, or one of the first guys to find it. He's been solid. The only mistakes he's made is choosing the wrong way to get around a lapper.
I see Henry going backwards in the field. Gentlemen, next time you get a chance to see him, he's got something hanging down from his bike. It looks like a hay bale cover. We know that could do a lot of damage. And even further back than Henry right now, probably in about 12th, is Damon Bradshaw. Maybe the effects of that flu finally caught up with him.
It does look like a dark substance, plastic, and that would be a hay bale bag, that's for sure, as we take a look at Jeff Emig out in front. The time ticking off on the lap time on the Honda stopwatch.
Lap time was about 141, if I remember right, for the 125 class, 135 for Emig. He's carving some pretty quick laps. Of course, it's going to be on this track because of the faster straightaways. It's going to be faster for the 250s more than it is on a typical Supercross track.
Here's Jeremy McGrath looking at Ezra Lusk for 5th place right now. Ezra Lusk, number 11. Our leader, number 3, in the whoop section, just after the finish line jump.
Emig still picture perfect.
Concentrating, making sure that he doesn't make a mistake behind the lapper.
It's surprising this late in a race on a track like this that he's got that much confidence and that much. It looks like he's on the first lap still. He's riding really smooth.
Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Down here with Steve Butler, Ezra Lusk's mechanic. You gave him a good, solid fist. He's held off Jeremy for 3 laps. You happy right now?
Yeah, well, I'm hopefully that he doesn't see that it's Jeremy and just sees Lammy ahead of him, because at this stage, it's whoever can stay the most aggressive with the least amount of mistakes, and hopefully he can do that.
You think he's fit and strong enough to go the distance here and hold on?
He is. I guess, 20 laps here is definitely a lot more than anywhere else, but if he can stay loose like this, that's very important. He can last.
Yeah, he wants to make the podium. Here comes number 11, coming in on Steve Lamson, number 4. Lamson in 3rd place, Lusk in 4th, McGrath in 5th, LaRocco in 6th. They're all moving up with that tremendous speed battle.
Yeah, you know what? When we were listening to Steve Butler talk to Marty, we saw Jeremy McGrath in the picture go off the side of the track, miss a couple jumps. You're allowed to do that in Supercross racing as long as you re-enter the track at the first possible moment available to you. You cannot make time. You cannot make positions. You saw Jeremy do a smart thing. He could have just gunned it, raced right across the grass, but instead, you have to hold back.
6 laps remaining. Jeremy McGrath, do they have enough time to catch? I don't know. Something drastic would have to happen to Emig to pick up enough time, really. But this battle for 3rd is very interesting as we take a look at the Suzuki Field summary. Jeff Emig, Albertine, a wonderful performance by Albertine. Lamson, Lusk, and McGrath are top 5.
Lusk, and trying to fight off Jeremy just a lap ago, moved up right to the rear fender of Lamson. Now they're starting to close in again. Jeremy really keeping the pressure on. Different lines everywhere. I mentioned earlier that maybe it was a little bit one line in some of the heat races before this track got worked in, but that one line gets rough. Now you can see there's 3 or 4 lines everywhere.
Going through what looks like shell rock, actually. It's Almost feels like compressed sand.
There's a lot of different surfaces, and your tires work good here, and then they don't work good there, and you have to be able to react to that and be very versatile. And the toughest guys seem to come out on top here. Bob Hanna's won here. He's tough. Kudrowski, of course, is tough. And also Stanton won here 4 times.
There goes Lusk. Moving into third place. Looks over at Lamson to see if he might have enough room to get into that first rut. McGrath now will be pounding on Lamson to move up another notch. Ezra Lusk. Boy, it's good to see him stay upright and be so competitive. Not letting Jeremy McGrath bother him. Here comes McGrath giving the challenge to Lamson. He can't quite make it by.
Yeah, that's the thing about Lusk, though. Remember, Art, he didn't stay up. He went down once already in this race. So he's making a really nice comeback. And there goes Jeremy right there. Something seems to be wrong with Lamson's game plan here. Maybe he's getting tired, too. The effects of the cold, again. I hate to use that so many times, but a lot of guys down there are sick.
Plus, last week riding the 125. Took a lot out of him. He said after the first moto he was dead, had no energy for the second moto, and now he's on a 250. Takes a lot more energy to ride that, especially on this rough racetrack.
Mike Gosselaar putting out the sign and really trying to give his riders some encouragement to take his mind off his flu and the cold ills that he has. Here's our leader, Jeff Emig. Emig just looking flawless.
Look at him tuck it right around that tire. He doesn't want to take a chance and get into that rut, starting to get deeper and deeper. Looks like the lead fluctuates here and there, and it perhaps just depends on guys making mistakes.
Next door, Daytona International Airport. They got a free seat up there. Be the only free seat in Daytona.
Now I was just saying, look at Albertine trying for a smooth line. He's like moving that thing out of the way. Get out of here. I need to get over there in the grass and miss these holes. Looks like he's starting to get a little bit tired. Emig is so strong.
Albertine, that great opening season win, and then dropped to 8th, the 10th, and 8th, the 5th, and then 15th with a big crash at Atlanta. This is going to be a moral victory for Albertine should he stay on the podium. Jeff Emig just looking strong, great conditioning, confident. He looks like the champion.
Now, this race for third still isn't over, and it'd be great to see Jeremy have come from so far back to get that position. You see, he charges into those whoops better than anyone. And the thing is, a lot of times you either get him, you get fast through the whoops at the beginning or the end, but Jeremy's tying in both things. He's going through those whoops faster than anybody.
3 laps to go. If Jeremy McGrath wants to make a move on Ezra Lusk to get on the possible podium there in third, he better do it soon.
Whether Lusk holds Jeremy off or not, this is still an outstanding ride for him. Remember, he went down. Anytime you go down in a race that's already longer than any other race on the season in terms of a Supercross and try to regain yourself and have the energy to fight off the former champion, that's outstanding.
Look at this battle with Jeremy McGrath and Ezra Lusk at tremendous speed right through that area. He's going to go the long shot with the lapper in front, picking up valuable time on Ezra Lusk, but can he get around that lapper? 371 is Thomas.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And also, you saw one of the guys he lapped was Damon Bradshaw. Looks like he's going to call an afternoon early.
Bradshaw in 13th, Henry in 10th. Here's the battle low, 1 versus 11. Jeremy McGrath looks to the side as he makes the pass, and the fans are cheering loudly for him.
Great ride for Jeremy as well. Emig searching for a smooth line. Almost went out there and collected those banners again. Remember what happened? This was Indianapolis where he had banners in his wheel the entire race.
He's getting ready now for the white flag. It is waving as Jeff Emig comes across the finish line jump.
Well, that is a great feeling, especially when you turn around and look and see that you got a pretty big gap, which is now starting to shrink. Look at Greg Albertine. He has really picked it up this last lap, last-ditch effort.
This would be the 5th win here at Daytona for Kawasaki, and that doesn't include any of Jeff Ward. Ward never won here.
Probably the greatest rider, Art, I should say, the greatest rider never to win at Daytona. Jean-Michel Bale never won. Damon Bradshaw never won. Michael Rocco never won. But Jeff Ward stands out, especially with those 4 second-place finishes. Maybe he's the Dale Earnhardt of Supercross.
Well, this is the important fact right now for Jeff Emig. This would be his first Daytona victory. For Emig, it could be his 5th career Supercross victory, his 3rd of the season. Jeremy McGrath in 3rd place. What a courageous ride to the podium.
McGrath
still going all out.
his way wide open. And probably getting into fourth gear right there is one of the fastest sections they're going to encounter anywhere on a Supercross track. Certainly the fastest section here at Daytona. Emick not far to go now. Still, it's not over. If he was to make any mistake and drop it, Albertine's close enough to make that pass.
Well, I'm so impressed with Greg Albertine, and again, didn't mean to jinx when I said that, but maybe I should say that every time, because it seems like when I say he's going to win, he goes down.
Yeah. Jeff Emick, of course, trying to keep a string of sorts alive. He won at Phoenix, was fourth, and then won again, and then came a second place, and now every other race, Jeff Emick, the checkered flag. Jeff Emick did not like his qualifying heat race. He said, hey, I had great times, but I didn't feel good out there. It'll be interesting when we come back to hear from Marty Reed as he talks with Jeff Emick to see how he felt during this one, winning the Daytona International Speedway Supercross.
Has been brought to you by Honda. Between now and May 31st, you can get a great deal on a great bike during the Honda Ride-Off. Honda, walk in, ride off. And by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
It's only a matter of time when #1 Jeremy McGrath will win a Supercross this season. He came from near last to make this pass on Ezra Lusk to make the podium in third place. His teammate Albertine in second, and Jeff Emick becomes the first three-time winner in the 1997 Supercross season. Albertine, McGrath, Lusk, LaRocco are top five. And what a great performance it was for Jeremy McGrath, and the top three for that matter. Ezra Lusk hanging in there after going down, taking a fourth-place finish. And Marty, I know the gentleman you're with right now, who has just taken over the points lead of the 97 season, is rather pleased to be talking with you.
Yeah, in fact, it's hard to get first for Jeff Emick, but do you like the real estate up here? Because this is the first time you've ever been on the podium at Daytona.
Yeah, I never have really had a ride at Daytona where I've been really happy, but I am extremely happy about this ride. You know, Kawasaki and Bridgestone gave me the bike it needed to get right out front, and then I rode that thing to the end.
Whole shot again. You're just cashing in all that 1-900 money.
Yeah, I would like to thank 900 Pro Race for all that whole shot money, and man, I can't say enough about my bike and my mechanic Jeremy Albrecht and everybody on the team. They're working real hard for me, and it's really paying off. We're having a great time doing it too.
Just yes or no? You want to take that money and sort of buy this real estate permanently here?
Well, I
said yes or no.
I think it'd be a real small spot that I can get here at Daytona Speedway, but I'm more than happy to win here in front of all the crowd and to have my name up on that plaque.
He's got enough to buy the platform that we're standing on, guys. I guarantee you.
Well, put it with your bank account, Marty. He could buy the whole city. Whoops, I'm sorry. As Doug Henry went backwards on the racetrack, he's also come off the points lead, of course, as Jeff Emick now vaulting into first place in the 250 points race after 7 rounds. Jeremy McGrath also sneaking up, and that could be a very interesting situation. Next week, we'll be coming to you from the Metrodome in Minneapolis. So long, everybody.